Hey everybody, and welcome back to Split Couch Games. I'm Scott.
And I'm Ben.
And this is Couchcast number 55, if
Yes.
Ben is to be believed.
Yes, we took a break last week.
We took a little break, and we'll kind of discuss why briefly. It's kind of a cool topic. But the main topic of this is going to be EA and all things EA and everything they've done in the past couple weeks.
Yeah, because
the
week before last we talked about how they bought Visceral, and we're gonna kind of continue that conversation today, along with talking about the fact that they just bought Respawn Entertainment for $400 million.
I could use $400 million though.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that's true.
But yeah, anyway.
But we should cover the not topic first.
Yeah, so the not topic, the reason why we ended up missing last week, we are both doing National Novel Writing Month, or NaNoWriMo for short. And what it is basically, it's not a contest, but it's a challenge that you and a bunch of other writers, I think like even within like Washington, there's a couple, almost 100,000 or something like that, that are competing, or not competing, but basically you challenge yourself to write a 50,000 word novel in a month, which sounds really difficult, and it's not easy. You have to average 1,667 words a day to meet the mark. I know that Ben has a different strategy for it. I generally try to hit it. Well, I mean, like the idea behind it is that everyone says, oh, you know, I want to write a novel someday, or, you know, and something that like I've thought about recently is that, like, you know, everyone has these goals that they want, but it's always someday in the future. And the idea behind NaNoWriMo is just do it. You can get it done within a month. Like, obviously it depends on what you're doing, but for the novel, you can write a 50,000 word novel. It's not going to be the best writing of your life if you do it that way, because you're just rushing through it, but you'll have something to work with in editing.
Yeah, and I as far as like getting the 50,000 words done in a month, I'm failing at that miserably.
Yeah, I mean,
it is what is the date? Today's the 11th. Yeah, today's the 11th. And I have almost 7,000 words written.
All right, yeah, you're not doing it. You're not gonna make it.
Nope. But I mean, that's mainly because, for me personally, like I'm in charge of a small team at work, and we have a bunch of project deadlines coming up, which just makes everything that much more insane for me.
Yeah.
And it was already kind of insane before, but yeah, it's the fact that this is all like happening in the same month really kind of sucks. Because most of the time I come home and I just don't simply have the energy to write. Yep. So I've been less pushing myself towards, you know, like the 1,600 words a day, and more towards, you know, just simply writing some every day. You know, even if it's only like a couple hundred words, or if it's, you know, 2,000 words or something. Yeah. You know, I want to just sit down and write. So
yeah. For the most part, I've hit every mark, usually getting above 1,700 words a day until last night, which would be Friday, the 10th. I did not do the writing, and part of that is like I know that at the end of the month I'm going to be busy. I'm going to be playing a chess tournament, and that's going to put me behind as well. So like I'm not necessarily going for the 50,000 words. I'm just trying to be as consistent as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think it's really cool, and if there's ever been something that like you guys have wanted to do, but it's always been like, oh, it's just so unattainable, I don't have the time for it, you know, just start like picking away at it, do it a little bit every day, or, you know, pick a day during the week that you're going to work on it, and eventually it will get there. Like, yeah, that's just how you get things done, is just do it.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's why, you know, we've been a little bit busier, and also other life things getting in the way and stuff, so we just ended up missing the last podcast. It's not that big of a deal. I don't think we really had much to talk about anyway. So, but this week,
so many important things, Scott. So many important things.
Yeah. he had a good idea, but we completely forgot what it was.
Yeah, that's okay.
But we're talking about EA today.
Surprise.
So, our favorite topic of all time is microtransactions. So, as a refresher, beta for Star Wars Battlefront 2 came out, and everyone was like, what the fuck are these microtransactions? And then EA was like, okay, we'll fix the microtransactions. And then I would say, depending on who you ask, they did or did not. But for the most part, everyone agrees that they didn't.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you ask EA, they fixed them. But if you ask literally anyone else, then no, they did not. I don't know if you actually looked into how they work now.
Viper the Red, actually, he tweeted out a video, and I watched that last night.
Gotcha.
So,
yeah, basically it boils down to the top tier of cards are now locked behind achievements and in-game accomplishments and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, in that regard, they did fix it. However, every tier leading up to that top tier is still attainable through microtransactions and are even craftable. So, like, let's say you never got, whatever power that you wanted for the sniper class or something. You could craft the top, or not the top tier, but like the almost top tier at any point that you wanted, as long as you had as long as you had the correct materials, because like you can get crafting parts or whatever, and as long as your player rank and your class rank, I guess, are of as long as those are high enough. But the thing about the player rank is that it's apparently very easy to level up, which, if it's the same as the first Battlefront, not shocking. You can seriously go from like 1 to 25 in an afternoon. So
yeah, I think the video I watched says that he got to level 12 after 2.5 hours.
Yeah, so you could go from like 1 to 25 in an afternoon.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that would probably take like 7 hours. Which is maybe technically an afternoon, but like
whatever.
It's not
matter.
A lot of time.
It's semantics at this
point.
But
it's level 20 to get to, or to be able to craft the highest tier.
Yeah.
So it's not even 25.
Yeah. So to get to 20 isn't that hard of a thing to do, and then your class rank for the character classes is entirely dependent on how many other cards for that class you have. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's not good.
So basically, if you want this super awesome sniper thing, but RNG says fuck you, and it basically always gives you cards for all the other classes, so you don't have any sniper cards, you're effectively never going to be able to craft the sniper cards that you want. Yeah. But on the flip side of that, if you dump $100 into it, you're bound to get some.
You're bound to get some, and then you're bound to get like a bunch of shit that you don't want, a bunch of scrap already.
Yeah. So then you'll be able to just craft whatever you want. And yeah, I guess technically they did make it better, but
it's a very band-aid fix.
It's not even really that.
Yeah, it's not even that. I don't know. It's just like it's completely ignoring the problem. And the problem, like, first of all, the problem of the system is that it exists in the first place. Like the whole power-ups, like this invisible power-up. They're like, oh, I do 50% more damage. Fuck you, bitches.
Yeah.
Like, I hate that. Just, like, hate it with a fiery passion.
Yeah.
Like, because there's not even, like, any trade-offs. It's not like, oh, I do 50% more damage, but I take, 20% more damage. Like, it's just...
Yeah, it's just straight buffs.
And, like, eventually, like, I guess, like, eventually, once you have all the cards, you make choices, and you're like, well, I could add shields, or I could add more damage. just whatever my playstyle is. But there's no trade-off.
Yeah,
if there was trade-off, I would actually think that the system was okay, because presumably it'd be like, oh, I do like, you know, I do 10% more damage, but I take 5% more damage, and then like as it grows, like the downside grows, and et cetera, et cetera. That would be somewhat acceptable to me, even with the pay-to-win model, because there's enough trade-off.
Yeah, because I mean,
it's not now.
Yeah, I definitely see what you're saying. And, you know, I agree with you that, like, if there was some sort of trade-off, or, like, even the smallest amount of strategy that might be involved with the decision-making around these star cards, then I could kind of get behind it. I still think it's super shitty, the values that they have attached to some of these cards. Like the fact, like the one that always just sticks out in my mind is like Boba Fett when he does his rocket attack. If you have the highest tier of one of his star cards, he is invulnerable during that. And then, like, even if you, oh well, you have to get the achievement to get that one. Okay, so instead of taking, you know, no damage, I'm taking 80% less damage, so I might as well be fucking invulnerable.
Yeah.
And things, I just don't understand how this type of system was looked at and approved.
Because I think that EA understands that a majority...
Hold on, we have to pause. I've got a leaf blower literally right outside. Alright, leaf blower interruption has now ended. Sorry about that, everybody. I don't really know what I was talking about. Oh, right, the whole, like, Boba Fett thing. I don't understand how, like, any designer would look at that and say, like, this is a good thing to put in. Because I feel like the microtransaction system as a whole has EA written all over it.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like the actual perks and benefits of the star cards are completely on DICE. Or at least the majority on DICE. Because I understand that, you know, the publisher may swoop in and be like, we don't feel like this power is good enough. It needs to be better.
That's sort of my thinking, is that, like, they were probably, like, designing the system or designing the game, and they were like, yeah, we're gonna have these power-ups, and then EA was like, you know, we probably get like a few people to buy those power-ups, you know, if we just charge money for them. And then DICE is like, okay, and then they create the loot box system, and then like EA is like, you know, we love our customers and we want them to get value out of their purchases, so if you could just make this guy invincible, that'd be great, thank you. I think, like you said, like, I think it's, you know, DICE probably had a little bit more to do with it, but I don't think that it would be anything like this if EA wasn't involved. Or any publisher that is known for microtransactions, which is really EA.
Pretty much all of them at this point.
Yeah, all of them. And yeah, I don't know.
I mean, hell, even fucking Turn 10 and Microsoft do them.
Yeah.
Well, not even just Turn 10. It pretty much just like Microsoft, period, as a publisher does it.
For the most part,
Activision, like, EA, Ubisoft.
Like, in Microsoft's defense, most of their loot boxes are decent from what I know. I think, like, maybe Forza went a little bit too far. But
yeah,
like,
I mean,
most of the time, at least for Halo and Halo 5, Halo and Gears, Halo, like, there was some gameplay stuff, but for the most part you could earn rec packs fairly easily. Like, it wasn't a grind. And then Gears is just all cosmetic. And like some experience boost, which experience doesn't matter. It's just if you want to get to level 100.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, I don't know. It just, there's good ways and bad ways to do it. And we've talked about it before, and I don't want to get hung up on that because EA has done other things.
Yeah.
They purchased Respawn.
Yeah, it was like, what, 2 weeks after they shut down Visceral.
Mm-hmm.
They decided to go and blow $400 million on buying Respawn. Yeah. Which...
For those who don't know, hold on. They're the makers of Titanfall, founded by Vince Zampella and some other guy who were formerly of Infinity Ward, the guys who made Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, and Modern Warfare 2. I think they left after Modern Warfare 2 due to contract disputes with Activision. Yeah. And then they made Titanfall. And then everyone was like, woo, Titanfall. And then Call of Duty copied Titanfall with all their wall running and stuff.
Yeah.
And anyways, that's where we are.
There is a little bit more to the story than what there is at the surface level. Because my first exposure to all of this and everything was, they shut down the one studio and then immediately bought another one. And that's crappy on a lot of different levels, obviously. But I believe the only reason that they bought Respawn was because there was another publisher that was offering to buy Respawn. And then because of, contracts and stuff, they had the first right to refusal, which means they either have to refuse to buy the company or they need to come up with a better offer. And that is what I believe has happened here. So
I would also say, I don't think that the two are that related. I mean, it's related in the sense that, you shut down one studio and buy another, but, they make Respawn and Visceral make very different games. So, it's all about it's more about their strategy as a company. Obviously, the multiplayer juggernaut that they hope Titanfall would be. I don't think it's really been much of a juggernaut, but, that hope is what they want in the future. So, obviously they're going to invest in that and not in Visceral games.
Yeah, totally. But, I mean, looking at it from a company's perspective, shutting down one company and then turning around buying another is kind of well, I have this vacant place in my budget now, so might as well fill it with something. Which, I mean, may or may not be what actually ended up happening. I'm not going to sit here and speculate on that. But in my opinion, the fact that this was a right to refusal purchase rather than an outright purchase does make it slightly less predatory than what EA's acquisitions have been in the past. Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of messy, in my opinion. I hate hearing that EA has bought another studio, and that's because practically every studio that EA has ever purchased gets shut down at some point. And it's, wherever you may want to place the blame, whether it's on EA or the developers, it doesn't really matter. But it's always because the quality of the games that they produce drops significantly after the acquisition.
Yeah.
And I'm personally just kind of sick and tired of it. EA keeps doing this, and I don't... to me, the part that's just, completely flabbergasting is, as a company, why would you ever put yourself and the people that, are part of your company in a position where you could and are willing to be purchased by EA?
$400 million is a lot of money.
Yeah, I know it is.
And I think you could also, obviously, I don't know the terms of
is worth more than $400 million. Because, I mean, the way I'm thinking about it is, okay, let's just assume absolute worst case scenario, and EA is a terrible company to work for, but as a independent developer, you have a little bit of leeway.
Yeah.
By being a direct subsidiary of EA, you are now worsening the quality of life for pretty much everyone in your company
Yeah.
And essentially signing, your death note. Like, you are now, within the next 5 or 6 years, going to be a non-existent company. Well, especially with something like Titanfall.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it obviously depends on like what their contract situation is with their employees and stuff, whether they get, stock options or profit sharing or whatever. So like,
well, I mean, if they did before, they probably don't now.
But yeah, but like presumably when the company is bought out, a majority of their employees got a good chunk of that change as well.
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
So if they are like, and they may have even been offered a severance package or something if like they wanted to get out. It all kind of depends on the whole way that it worked out.
All the details that we don't know.
Yeah. So like I would hope that the guys in charge of Respawn thought that all out when they negotiated a contract and everything. We'll see. For what it's worth, Vince Zampella has come out and said that Respawn is still Respawn and nothing will change.
Yeah, every developer has always said that.
Yeah.
I mean,
we'll see. It'll be interesting to watch. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, like, EA and Respawn have always had like that close relationship. So maybe it's gonna be alright. Like,
maybe. I mean, the thing that I'm afraid of at this point is I played the first Titanfall a lot, and I quite enjoyed it for like the first 5 months or so that everyone actually played it.
Yeah.
And I never really got into the second one, but what I have played of the second one seems like it was leaps and bounds better, but just not really my type of game. Yeah. It was way more like run and gunny than what it had been before, but not necessarily in the good. It felt way more weighted towards the Call of Duty side of things than what it had been previously.
Sure. Yeah, I can see that.
And the small amount that I played, like it was definitely like, oh well, because I'm late to the game, essentially, like everybody has this fucking gun that can like two-shot you, and I don't, so fuck me. And maybe that was just a perspective thing. Maybe I just got a couple bad matches. I don't know. But it was significantly less enjoyable in comparison to the first one because there were too many layers, in my opinion. And
sure,
I don't know, but I don't know what, if any, type of loot box situation there is in Titanfall. Like, I don't know if it's the exact same kind of progression system or if there's like a random element potentially to the unlocks. But if you remember from the first one, the progression and unlocks were all level based.
Yeah.
So, like everyone was always guaranteed to have the exact same items at the exact same time if they were the same level.
What? Balance?
Yeah, I don't know if it's the same way with Titanfall 2 or not. But I can only assume that at this point, any sort of balance in their progression system is probably going to be out the window, which is just going to effectively spell doom for the franchise. Because the company as a whole, really, EA, not Respawn, has pretty much proven at this point that if it doesn't have microtransactions, it's not worth their time. Yeah. And that's part of their whole, like games as a service bandwagon that they're circle jerking to death. And for something like Titanfall, I can kind of see it maybe possibly working, but only if it's done correctly. You know, I feel like if Titanfall was the same, but then they added in loot boxes for like all the skins and all that kind of crap, then sure, totally do that. But like, don't make it so it's like, oh well, your loot box gives you XP boosts and then allows you to unlock certain abilities early, and then like all this kind of crap. Like that's just, it's not, like, you know. But I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like EA more than any other publisher caters to the masses. Like,
I guess.
Like,
yeah.
Just because, like, you know, Madden, FIFA, like
Mass Effect.
Well, I just feel like they're focused. Like they're like games as a service, in my opinion, is now just kind of like turning more into like, oh, we're gonna like see what we can do before the masses get pissed off. Like, we understand that a vocal minority isn't going to like this, but as long as if like, you know, 90% of the people enjoy this or like don't complain about it, we're okay.
Well, the whole like thing with games as a service, like the idea and purpose of it is to have this game that people come back to for years on end.
Yeah.
Which is a terrible business. Like, I don't understand how like anybody within EA looks at making all of their games a games as a service ideal. Like, I don't understand how they sit there and go like, yeah, this is totally gonna work with fucking 7 different games all within the same, you know, genre competing with each other. Like, you can't do that. It doesn't.
You like, don't think you can do that.
You're literally going to be cannibalizing your own products by pushing this on everything, and I don't.
Yeah. That being said, I am tentatively excited for FIFA and Madden to be, because there's talk that they're going to try to make those games as services.
I mean, they already are. It's just they keep milking the fact that people buy the same damn game every year.
Yeah. But, like, I'm the first. I enjoy a good Madden game. Like, I buy them maybe once every 5 years, because at that point, like, there is enough innovation where, like, it matters. Or, like, you know, maybe, like, the controls are a little bit better or whatever. But, like, you know, buying them every year, I can't imagine doing that. Like, the only thing that like matters would be the updated rosters and everything like that, which should just be an automatic update. Like, every time you like turn on the game, they just like download the new rosters for you.
No. You got to pay another $60, Scott. That's too complicated.
I think that like during the life cycle of the game, which is 1 year, they do actually update the rosters, but it's still like you could just, you know, continue that. But I don't know, like, I think that for the sports genre, I think that that's a solid idea. You know, release like once every 2 years instead of once a year or something like that, so that you can really spend some time innovating. I don't know.
See, I agree with you. They definitely shouldn't be releasing the same sports game every single year. You know, just with like an updated roster and everything. But at the same time, I don't see that ever happening, because there's no way to make them profitable in the meantime. Like, I mean,
the FIFA card game, like there's a card game within FIFA. I don't remember.
Of course, there is. Okay.
I don't remember. It's not. I don't know. It's a weird thing where it's like you collect players and then like the players are on your team, and then you can play like actual FIFA games with your team. It's like a collectible card game. I don't know. It's don't ask. But apparently it is.
All right. Well, if you gamify the video game, then yes, I can see how it could be profitable over more than 1 year.
Yeah.
However,
that system though, like I forget the numbers, but it's ridiculously, like, it just prints money for them. It's just like, here, have money.
Well, I mean, FIFA is their most profitable sports game anyways, isn't it? Just simply because it's literally like the biggest sport everywhere else in the world, except for America.
Because America likes good sports. Ew. I don't know. Soccer's
I mean, sure, fine, whatever. I don't care about
Football
any sports.
is fine.
So.
Yeah. I don't know. I just EA makes their interesting choices, and they don't get punished for it because they're just like, yeah, enough people.
They get punished, but then they pass that punishment along.
Sure.
So that they don't have to bear the brunt of it.
Sure.
Like, EA has literally shut the doors on so many of my favorite franchises just over the years, and I'm sick and tired of it. Like, yeah. I don't want Respawn to go the route of Visceral. I don't really play Titanfall or anything, and who knows, maybe I will in the future, maybe I won't, I don't know. But I don't want them to go that route, even though I don't play their games, because I don't want any company to go that route, because the Command and Conquer franchise no longer exists because of EA and their damned games as a service mentality.
Yeah.
Like, literally ever since, I think it was like Red Alert 2 and its expansions was like the last like really, really good Command and Conquer game. Command and Conquer Generals was okay, but it definitely wasn't as good as the Red Alert 2 and Yuri's Revenge, and I think there was one other expansion, maybe. But everything since then has been pretty much a complete wash, and the fact that they basically closed the doors on the franchise as a whole because they were trying to make like a free-to-play RTS, and it just wasn't working. Like, first of all, you should never go the route of trying to, out of the gate, make your RTS free-to-play. That's just plain stupid.
No, I mean, who knows? It's not the dumbest idea. But
well, it is possible to make a free-to-play RTS. However, I believe in order to do that, you have to make a quality game, like release it at the base price of, you know, $60 or whatever initially. Do that, build a fan base, then make it free-to-play so that everybody who didn't buy it can play it. And that's when you start throwing in all the fucking microtransactions and everything. You don't build it from the ground up with microtransactions.
I mean, I don't think that that's necessarily wrong. I mean, the idea would be that, like, with a free-to-play game, it's easier to get that fan base.
Well,
but
yeah,
I mean, they're
maybe,
like,
but I mean,
you still have to make it a good. The key is you have to make it good.
Well, yeah, and that's what I was going to say. Is the biggest issue I think is that they're targeting like 10 or 15-minute play sessions for an RTS.
Yeah,
which I don't know. I never played it when Command and Conquer World or whatever the hell it was called. I never played it when it was in its open beta or closed beta or anything like that, but I always heard that it was completely terrible, and that was like my favorite RTS growing up.
I mean, I think like in regards to like the 10 and 15-minute playtime, everyone's like, oh, you know, like let's just, you know, give everyone like quick action and like fun and stuff, and it's like, yeah, but just make a good game and people will play it. Like League of Legends, games last like 40 minutes and no one complains about it. Everyone's like, yeah, I'll go play 40 minutes of League of Legends. They just print money. Like, it's just make a good game, people will fucking play it. They'll give you the money. Just make it good.
But Scott, good games are games as a service so that you keep playing them. So we need to make sure that every moment you're playing that you're kind of thinking about going back to the store and buying that one thing that you really want.
Shut up, Ben. I just...
All right, well, we should wrap this up.
Yeah, we should wrap up.
I feel like we've said our piece, and I'm a little tired. I haven't had coffee yet. You're yawning, so...
I have a fucking headache. I ran into a brick wall yesterday. Brick wall of a man. He was like 6 foot.
Did you say brick wall and a man, or brick wall of a man?
Of a man.
Okay.
I don't know, he was fucking huge. Like, he was like, probably like my height, but like his shoulder, like he was like twice my like width because he's just like massive muscle. And we were both going for a ball, and I sort of like leaned into it, and he body checked my face. And I don't know. It just I don't know. I don't really know what happened. I just like remember seeing a black shirt, and then I was on the ground. I was like, oh. But awesome. Yeah. So I'm probably gonna lie down.
Okay.
But yeah. Let us know your guys' thoughts on EA. Be civil. I know that EA pisses off a lot of people, so just kind of like keep the discussion in the comments as civil as possible.
Yeah.
Use nice words when you say mean things. I'm trying to think of the last
EA game that I bought that wasn't Mass Effect.
Hardline? Battlefield 1?
Yeah.
Battlefield 1.
Yeah. But I mean, at this point, like I'm pretty much done with the Battlefield franchise, I think.
What? I thought Battlefield 1 was good.
It was, but it's the same. Like it.
What? The same?
I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot that's changed with Battlefield over the years that just makes it less entertaining.
Yeah, I got you. All right, we should wrap up. So
yep.
We'll see you guys next time on Split Couch Games.
Bye.
Bye.